I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Hulkamania.
We are the Super Media Bros podcast, and we are founding members of the OddPods Media Network.
Looking for a new podcast? Check out the Infectious Groove podcast. My name is Russ, and I host the show along with Michelle and Kyle. Every Monday, the three of us bring you music news and tell you our jammy jams, so you'll always have new music to check out. The Infectious Groove podcast discusses music from nearly every decade and genre while openly displaying our passion for music you need to hear. On top of that, we have a thought-provoking main topic of discussion every week to get you thinking, discussing, and sharing music. We also include interviews with the music stars of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and all major podcast platforms. Subscribe and listen to the Infectious Groove podcast on your favorite podcast platform today.
The Super Media Bros say it's party time.
It's Braille.
I was frozen today!
All that and more.
You want to go to space?
Is there Dookie there?
Super Media Bros.
What's that smell?
It's space.
Space smells like dookie?
Apparently.
Is it dookie time?
Hulk Hogan's face on, God damn it, on Peter Parker's face, on his head, and just be like, it's Dookie time.
That's all. It's dookie time. Dookie Howser.
Mm-hmm. Dookie Hoser.
Dookie Hogan, MD.
Brother.
Brother, MD. Welcome to episode 162 of the Super Media Bros podcast.
Bring some TP for that, Dookie.
I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Hulkamania.
Cult Cinema Showdown 68. It's a Hulk Hogan doubleheader because we couldn't do just one.
It's both biceps, the left and the right.
Those 24-inch pythons.
Yep.
Hulkamania running wild.
As he lives and breathes.
As he hyperventilates.
Yeah.
It's No Holds Barred versus Suburban Commando. Holy shit. We're going to jump into No Holds Barred, but I have to stress this, okay? When this movie came to fruition, it was produced by Hulk Hogan and Vince McMahon, right?
Right.
Okay, so when the first draft of the script got turned in, they both fucking disapproved of it. These two sons of bitches checked into a hotel in Florida and spent 72 hours like straight rewriting the whole fucking thing. And so what we got on film was what we got from them.
Which wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't bad. It was just, it's like, okay, we've got a starring vehicle for you, Terry. For those of you that don't know, Hogan's real name is Terry Bollea. It's like, we've got a starring vehicle for you.
Let's start your acting career.
Right. You were great as Thunderlips in Rocky 3. So let's maybe just do that character, but rename it Rip.
And Tear.
Just what the fuck, dude, Hogan as the Doom Warrior?
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. I'm all about it.
That'd be an interesting reveal. Just him pull the helmet off and be like, yeah, it's time, hell. Brother.
It's the Doom logo, but it just says Hulk, like in the Doom font.
When he does the chainsaws, brother.
Rip him. Yeah, so his character's name is Rip in this movie. And the movie is basically about a professional wrestler that gets challenged. Like, his manhood gets fucking challenged by an ex-con named Zeus. I know that's not the real description of this movie, but I swear to God, like, that's what it should have been.
That's pretty much all it is. Also, I was so just thrown out of my loop because watching this film, it's so jarring to see Hulk Hogan normal or attempting to be normal, which I get. Everybody has their own like outside of work activity, especially in the wrestling careers and stuff like that. But you're just so used to seeing like Hulkamania 24/7, and watching him try to be something other than himself, it's like I don't know how to feel about this. So
it's frightening.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's jarring because you're just so used to like him ripping his shirts off and, you know, doing his bicep curls and everything like that, and him just being himself, like in that sense.
Right. And I mean, the movie kicks off literally with like Mean Gene Okerlund and Jesse Ventura doing commentary on a WWF championship match where Hogan as Rip is in an actual WWF house show setting, and he's wrestling I don't even remember what they called him, but the dude that played the other guy in the ring is actually Axe from Demolition from way back when, like the same era that Hogan was.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks hilarious without no makeup, killer mullet, and just gets his ass handed to him.
Of course, he got his ass ripped.
Yeah, he did get his ass ripped. I'm going to rip your ass.
It's such an interesting thing with the hand gesture. He always like does this rip thing where he like does like okay, people know the devil horns and the like the cowabunga or the
like
surfer, tubular. Well, it's like a mixture of those two, but his two main fingers, the pinky and the finger, are like curled up a little bit higher than the two knuckles in the middle. It's not fully extended.
Yeah, it looks like he's trying to throw the I love you symbol up like backwards, but like he's missing half a finger on his pointer.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
And that's his like salute to like, I'm the Rip.
So yeah, like it opens on this, right? And, you know, he's kicking ass and, you know, the crowd's going wild. Well, Brell, who we only ever know him as It's Brell, who's played by Kurt Fuller, who I want to say played the character. I know he was in Wayne's World, but I think his name was Russell in there because Russell's our best producer.
It's Russell.
It's Russell. It's Russell Sprouts, buddy.
Just any character that guy play as, just say that like it's Jim or whatever. I don't know, whatever the play is at.
All we know is that this man's favorite terminology to use is jock ass because he's in a competing television station called the World Television Network. Big fucking original name. He's like, I want that man on our network. But sir, he's contracted to a different network. I don't care. Get that jock ass on my network.
Everybody can be bought. That's pretty much what he tries to do.
Right. And that's the thing that I didn't understand. And I guess I still don't. And it might be, you know, the whole loophole thing where, you know, it's Vince and Hogan writing this shit. It's like, okay, he's contracted by a TV station, but he's under contract to World Wrestling Federation. Technically, is he not contracted through the WWF at this point where it's like, you don't even go to a TV station.
No.
You go to Vince McMahon, who we all fucking know ain't going to let any of his dudes go on any fucking competing shit.
Especially back then, he had more power than he does now, basically.
Right. I mean, he's the reason that territory wrestling is no more. The fucker, like, he did a conglomerate on everything.
Right.
But anyway, like, in that meeting, which I was laughing at with Brell, he comes back and he's just like, I want to hear your pitches. And this one woman is just like talking about, I don't remember what it was, like a drama show or some kind of like new TV show. And he's just like, Miss Tidings, take a leak. What the fuck? Was that the way to tell someone to just get the fuck out back then?
Maybe that's the part Vince McMahon wrote.
He probably did, dude. Vince McMahon is like legitimately into like fart jokes. Like he likes toilet humor.
Well, I mean, I could just imagine him trying to say like, I want to say you're fired right here, but that's just projecting myself. So
it's mine.
Yeah. I should do something a little different.
Brother, what if we wrote take a leak? I could just picture fucking Hogan and McMahon in that goddamn hotel room like for 72 hours straight. Day 2.5, they're losing sleep and they're like up on coffee and probably fucking speed and coke.
Probably.
Brother, what if we just said take a leak? God damn it, Hogan, that's such good shit.
Literally.
Yes. But anyway, so somehow Rip takes this fucking meeting and he walks in and we were laughing because, you know, you were talking about Hogan like just being normal, but it's hilarious because I think he actually dresses like this when he makes his appearances or when he was making appearances. The spandex, like skin tight sleeveless shirt, the fucking bandana, the fingerless gloves, the tights, and into like some cowboy boots with a weight belt on. And it was all matching like red and black.
Right.
So like this is Hogan normal. This is what he fucking just wears out.
He basically became the character. He's no longer Terry. He's Hogan.
And then he's Rip.
Yeah.
And he's ripped. But yeah, like Brell is just sitting there. And dude, I fucking love this because your reaction was priceless. Whenever he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. And he gets up and Brell fucking just shoves him back into the chair. It's like, dude, you fucked up.
It's like my Uncle Roger came and was like, you fucked up.
If you put your hands on Hulk Hogan, you fucked up.
Yeah.
If you put your hands on Hulk Hogan twice, you've also fucked up.
Like it just an immense hi came on that moment.
Yeah, it did. Because you were sitting there like, oh shit. And when he's like, this check is blank. And he slaps the pen down. Write a number. Any number.
And he just takes him by the fucking collar and just shoves it in his mouth like, I won't be around when this check clears.
Yeah, because he calls him a jock ass to his face.
Which was mistake number 3. Because he pushed him once. He was like, oh, I'm sorry. He pushed him again, but he wasn't sorry for that one. And then he called him a jock ass in his fucking face.
And then he made mistake number 4, which was apparently like paying the limo driver off to take Hogan away to some fucked up like factory.
like a loading dock or something.
Yeah, where the limo driver is in on it, but he has like 3 or 4 guys waiting there to beat the shit out of him, and it's like steel door trapped, like the doors and the roof and the front. Like, you know how you can roll the window down to talk to the driver? Yeah, that whole shit.
However, this was not meant for anybody of his stature. This was meant for somebody of weaker stature, because this man like kicked the shit out of this door to the point where it looked like fucking pellets of a BB gun or like a shotgun were like sprayed out from the inside, because it was like he hit hard. But probably my favorite part of this whole sequence, he finally made the driver wreck and like pull over into this warehouse docking area, and Hogan just erupts from the top of the fucking limo. Just Superman style, dude.
Yeah, he just fucking jumps out the top of that bitch.
Like, this thing was meant to hold him in. Fuck, it wasn't done right, apparently.
No. But I was sitting there thinking to myself, you know, he's kicking it trying to escape, but it also looked like he was really pissed off that there were no like hors d'oeuvres or refreshments back there. Not even a fucking like glass for champagne or anything.
Or a hooker or anything.
Nothing.
Jacuzzi. No, it wasn't the fact that they locked him in there. It was just like, I have nothing this whole ride. Really?
I'm bored. I'm going to kick the shit out of everything.
It's like you passed by McDonald's. I wanted to go there. Pow, pow.
You're going the wrong way.
Mickey D's right there.
Brother.
I want a Big Mac.
I want a McBrother with extra bro sauce.
A McRib.
A McRib.
Extra pickles.
Oh, shit.
It's like 3 layers of the McRib sandwich.
Speaking of 3 layers, after he disposes of like the brute fuckers that are trying to kick his ass.
Which one of them? I looked at the guy. I was like, man, did they hire Paul Kersey to come in here?
That one dude fucking did look like a Paul Kersey, like Charles Bronson stunt double.
Yeah. It's like not even Paul Kersey can take down Hulk Hogan.
Stetson and all.
Nope.
But he goes over to the fucking limo driver, who's the last person standing or whatever.
Sitting.
Yeah. And
or
shitting. Yeah. He rips the door off and he just picks him up. And there's like a shot from the dude's ass up to like the back of his head where Hogan is just holding him up by his fucking shirt. And the dude has shit everywhere. And I mean, that is like probably the biggest like shit stain I have ever seen.
So you got to be pretty intimidating to like shit like a geyser out of your ass.
It's probably like a piss shit. And then like his shit was like liquid.
Instant diarrhea.
Yeah.
Pepto can't cure that.
No. But it was just hilarious because Hogan just got that like he's just, you know, hulked up. What's that smell?
I think he just smelt that shit and he's like, ugh. What's that smell?
Dookie.
He had like a flashback.
Right. He's
PTSD.
PTS diarrhea.
Yeah. He had no TP for that PT.
No, he didn't. He did not. So anyway, after this happens, he goes to his television network and meets this chick named Samantha N. Moore, which, as you pointed out, it's like Samantha and Moore.
Mm-hmm. Is she the goddess? She's definitely the goddess.
Are you the goddess? The goddess is a woman.
And more.
That's it. And she obviously puts it out that she has the hots for him because he's fucking flirting with her and shit. And then, you know, she's like, well, what can you bring to the table? And he's just like, oh, it's like, you know, Rip would like Samantha to know that his biggest like thing is outside charity work and all this other shit. So she's like, asks him to go to dinner. Again, seeing this man in a fucking like all white, not a tux, but just dressy attire get up is just fucking hilarious.
Yet again, jarring, but hilarious.
I think the funny part about this scene was she and the new like waiter guy were pretty much trying to, like, who was French, mind you, were trying to make fun of the fact that Hogan is just this big brute guy
who has no culture
and he's not sophisticated, because they're sitting there and he's just like, yeah, you won't find any hot dogs, hamburgers, or anything of that sort on the menu. And he's just like giving them both the fucking stink eye.
And then out of the corner, you see the busboy like figure out who he was, and he walks up to the table and it's like, oh, Mr. Rip, I'm a big fan. The waiter just like snaps, like, go away, basically. But he goes back to the kitchen and the whole kitchen staff is like, oh my God, he's here. So they all run out there and they're like, oh, my good friend, Mr. Rip, it's good to see you again.
We haven't seen you in so long.
And they all looked and like, wait, he's been here before?
Right. And he starts speaking to Hogan and Hogan speaks back in French. He's like, the usual, sir? And he's like, right away, sir. And she's just like, oh.
And that waiter just like, oh, well, let me pull my stick out of my ass a little bit. Okay, I'm good.
And he pops his fucking tie.
Yeah. Fucking loser.
Yeah, so Brell, feeling defeated by not getting Hogan on his fucking television station, decides, hey, let's go to this fucking bar. And let's just watch these people beat the shit out of each other. And this is probably like the most, would you say this is like one of the local places here?
That's what I say. It's the most relatable shot sequence. Because I felt like I was, there. Because I've been there.
Yeah, like they all come in their fucking suits and shit. And this is very obviously like the most like trash ass 2-bit place you could probably ever imagine in your life.
It's like one of the local bars here in town. But if it had like Logan's restaurant kind of feel to it with all the peanuts and shit on the floor.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that's how I would relate to it. But yeah, it was like the waitress was even just grotesque and she had this bad mouth rot looking shit going on, bad attitude and everything like that.
Digging in her fucking nose and shit.
And basically the concept was they had this squared off rope, or was like I think it was a square at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it was either a square or like a octagon or like some kind of like hexagon shape. Like either way, there was like a giant
roped off area.
Yeah, with tires on the fucking posts and shit.
And there were these brutes, locals, just beating the shit out of each other for the shit of it. It wasn't really anything of interest. It was just, I want to fight. And Brell is literally just soaking all this in amongst, the piss and beer smell. And when one of the guys gets defeated, the waitress has a brother who, I forgot the guy's name, but he jumps in and starts beating the shit out of this bigger dude who won the previous round. And he literally mops his ass on the floor. Yeah,
because Brell was like, well, your brother can keep the fucking tip if he beats the shit out of that guy.
Right, because he pays for like 100.
Yeah. So Brell gets the idea from all of this shit to make a new television show called Battle for the Tough Guys. And he's going to hold it at this bar and several other like
locations.
Dingy, yeah, like real dingy, like industrial looking locations in the grand prize. And he puts this out all over the fucking television and the radio. It's like $100,000 tax free. So you get the next shot of the competition happening, and then we enter Zeus.
Let's not forget teeny weenies.
Oh yeah, that's right. The two cronies are going to the fucking bathroom, and it's like, I swear to God, I think we've all been in this bathroom at one point or another.
It was like slop bucket troughs as urinals. One of them was clogged, so it was like just full of shit and piss. But the two cronies were talking about how everybody's like basically idiots and hodunk and shit. And the brother of the waitress pops in the stall. He's like, who are you calling an idiot? And he just harasses the fuck out of them two. And he looks down while they're still pissing. And he's like, oh, looky there, these teeny or tiny weenies or whatever the fuck he says. And he's like, you know what? It ain't even worth it.
Yeah, I thought that shit was fucking hilarious, dude.
Because he was about to humiliate the fuck out of them for what he said or what they said. But he looked down and it's like, nah, you're already humiliated enough.
Right.
But it makes me wonder. These guys are like continuously drunk. Don't they have beer goggles pretty much 24/7? And if so, do they look at their own wieners and think, man, I got a huge one?
Probably so.
So they probably look at like these two as like, man, those are tiny.
My hands are too big. That's why.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, big old competition, tough man's something. It's not really not important. It's just the fact that they're trying to gather anybody who is a tough enough man to fight and win the 100,000 tax free. And we get Zeus,
who is one imposing looking son of a bitch, played by Tom Lister, who is most notably recognized as Debo from the Friday franchise for a lot of people out there. This is where I recognized him from. Like, whenever he was in Friday, I'm like, they fucking put Zeus in that shit.
Yep.
So he comes out and just fucking annihilates everybody. And then we find out that, was it George is Rip's trainer?
Mm-hmm.
He used to train Zeus, and then he basically said that he killed a kid after a match and got sent to prison and can't believe they fucking let him out because they are actually at Rip's place watching this shit.
Well, what happened was he dropped him because he couldn't control Zeus.
That's right.
Well, at the time, it was somebody else, whatever his name was, but he couldn't control him, so he dropped him for that simple reason and then went on to do said actions and went to jail, and now he got released, and he's pretty much not murdering people, but he's like beating the shit out of them.
Right.
But there was that one scene I thought was funny when he walks into that bar. He grabs that one dude. He's like, "Your name?" And he just puts his hand over his face and picks him up.
No, that was a chick.
Oh, it was a chick.
Yeah, dude. He picked the waitress up and he fucking like drops her off the second floor into a barrel of peanuts.
Yeah, get nutted on. Just imagine that. These nuts.
I was thinking Zeus
Got
nuts.
him. Got him.
Zeus nuts. Got him. Because he just whispers for the most part until he gets really pissed.
Yeah, which he does get pissed pretty fast.
Yeah, like while all this is happening, like Brel has the bright idea to lead Zeus and Rip on a warpath against each other because WTN got the fucking #1 time slot. But the PR department is like, oh, this guy gives my kids nightmares and all this other bullshit. And he's like, fuck them. They watched anyway. Because like while this is happening, like Samantha picks Rip up for some kind of overnight press trip to some, I don't remember where they went.
I think it was his hometown, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. But it was just so funny to me, like how they tried to play this love story out. Because it was the most like ridiculous shit. You know, the whole, oh, well, the agent set it up. Oh, there's only one bed. What the fuck? You know, there's obvious like attraction there. We get Hulk Hogan in this really fucking skimpy goddamn man thong thing. And I'm just like, oh, who the fuck wants to see this?
Apparently, Miss Moore.
Yeah.
Because she peeks out of the fucking bathroom while brushing her damn teeth. And it's just like, there's the Hulkster.
And there's little Hulkster.
Yeah.
I was laughing though, whenever he's doing the push-ups and he's got his foot resting on the bed or whatever. And she's like, what the hell? And she's peeking up because he sets like a divider curtain up in the room or whatever. And she's looking around. She's like, oh, and he's like, don't wait up for me. I'm like, God, don't. No. Hulk Hogan trying to be sexy is fucking disgusting.
Yeah, because we all thought he was like jacking off in the bed because the bed was like rocking real hard.
And he's like,
but yeah, he had his feet propped up on the bed, just doing push-ups off the floor. It was just, I don't know what was worse, the fact that he could have been jacking off or this.
right. Because like before that happened, they stopped at some restaurant and like he stops a robbery happening. And apparently he had a fling with the waitress there at one point, or she just loves him and, you know, she treats him like, you know, one of her own and shit.
Right.
Well, basically Samantha sees how much everybody loves him and all this other shit. And so obviously she starts fucking falling for him. And it turns out that Brel actually hires her because she's supposed to seduce him. Well, he smacks the shit out of her like real fucking hard.
Black eye, yeah.
She, of course, runs to Rip and explains everything. And there's several instances of them trying to actually kidnap her because at one point Zeus fucking calls out Rip and shows up to one of his charity events in a fucking helicopter.
With some badass slow motion going on.
Oh, it was. I was just laughing though because they get there and it's so corny because like he's like, oh, do you accept the challenge? And you can tell that Rip is just pissed off. He's like, dude, you fucking showed up. There's all these kids around and you're like this ex-con piece of shit. And then Brel is just like, oh, there it is. We have a winner. Zeus, the world champion of tough guy, blah, blah, blah. He's going to suck my dick later, spanks his ass and gets back on the copter. All right, let's go, big guy.
No, what was weird is how he separates them two from each other. He backs his ass, like, backside into Zeus to push him away. I'm like, are you really, like, getting, like, a hard-on for this dude or something? Like, I wanted up the ass.
I wanted up the Zeus.
Give it to me.
But yeah, like, that happens. And later, Rip is talking to Charlie and he basically asked Charlie, he's like, you think I can't take him? And he's like, no, I think you did the right thing. And then Randy, who is Rip's brother, I forgot to mention, who accompanies him to all of his matches and shit and trains with him and all this other shit. He fucking shows up to one of the tough guy competitions like a dumbass.
Yeah, him and his friend, I think it is.
Yeah, and his friend, like another fucking dumbass, outs Randy as Rip's brother to Brel and Zeus's face.
Yeah, because they see the Rip shirt on Randy and they're like, oh, we're converting Rip fans to Zeus. That's awesome. And then he's like, no, we're not fans of Zeus. This is his brother. This is Rip's brother. It's like, oh, dude, come on.
You done fucked up, kid.
Because now they're getting the shit beat out of them by Zeus. Well, actually, Randy is.
Oh, Randy gets his ass fucking handed to him.
Yeah, they pretty much like immobilized the dude.
They fucking, let's just be honest, they crippled him.
Yeah.
Like they fucked him up to where he's in a fucking wheelchair.
And see, what was funny was when that happened, Rip went on a rampage.
A Rip page?
And he went to Zeus's gym and just tore shit up. And in the background, you hear lines that Brel is telling Zeus, like in a recording, to piss him off and encourage him to hate Rip, basically. And it's almost like teasing Rip at the same time. But the two cronies and Brel are laughing because they're watching Rip just annihilate his gym for no fucking reason. But Rip is like I want Zeus. Give me Zeus. I accept, getting all into it. And bruh, he fucking tries to like destroy everything around him, but he grabs his barbell, just the bell, or the bar, I'm sorry, and he like javelin launches this shit at a fucking camera, like pinpoint accurate into the fucking camera lens, and just, I'm like, damn, dude, you should have been in the Olympics or something, dude.
Bullseye, smartass.
Yeah.
I know that's in the next one, but still. Like, it's just proof that in both of these movies, Hogan has like just immaculate aim.
Mm-hmm. But what I find really interesting is this sequence is when it's 2 weeks from that point, when the match starts, Zeus is literally just training left and right, just all over the place, getting pissed off, getting angry, getting ready, and everything like that. Rip is tending to Randy and not doing anything besides that. Like, he is actually caring about his brother's health over his own, victory of this match.
Right.
And I'm like, see, that's the man right there.
That's a fucking man. Yeah.
He don't give two shits about no fucking match. He wants to make sure his fucking brother is alive and doing well.
Right. And honestly, dude, okay, and I have to give him this shit. The sequence where like he's in the room and like Randy finally fucking wakes up and moves his hand. And like Hogan rolls over there and he's like legit like good acting, like crying and shit. Like, I'll never forget, like when I was a kid, that made me cry whenever I was a little kid. I was like, fuck, man. Because he's not a slouch. Like, the dude can act. I mean, he's corny as all get out. We're not going to, mince any words about that shit.
But he
like,
has good moments.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, like, and I'm going to go off script for like a couple minutes here. Or not a couple minutes, but like professional. Yeah, exactly. Like professional wrestlers. Okay. They act every fucking week. Their characters, like, is basically, their characters are basically their personalities, like, just kind of amped up to 11 a little bit. Even though the shit is predetermined, a lot of the spots they do are painful and all this other shit, but they fucking act every week. Those guys are already born to do shit like this. So like that was a pretty commanding scene for what it was. But yeah, like you said, Zeus is fucking sitting there with all this like high-end technology, working out and training his fucking ass off. And Hogan's like, bitch, I eat shit like you for breakfast. I'm just going to take care of my brother.
But yeah, the 2 weeks roll by, main event's about to happen. And Randy and all of them are rolling up, literally, to get seated. While Rip and Charlie...
Well, he's already seated, but...
Yeah, he's already seated. He's seated and defeated.
Yes.
But Rip and Charlie are in the dressing room or whatever, and they're like, getting ready. He's like, where's Randy? He's like, they'll be here. Because that's his like inspiration, is having his brother ringside.
Right, because he's accompanying for every match, because he's telling his trainer it's not right without him here.
Right.
But the plot or the plan that Brell is hatching is that he's going to kidnap Samantha. And he's going to hold her in the fucking skybox. Well, it's not even really a skybox. It's this small TV studio. But he's going to hold her there and basically like blackmail Rip into throwing the match. Because remember, he fucking calls. I just think it's hilarious when he, like we mentioned in the opening, fucking calls his dressing room with that fucking that telephone.
It's Braille.
It's the most nerdy fucking shit ever. Because he's looking upward and he's got the phone like cocked way up in the air. Rip, it's Braille. The fuck, man?
But yeah, they eventually separate the guys from Samantha, and they kidnap her and put her in the skybox, like you said, with Brell and all, or not really with Brell. It's with like 2 security guards and the 2 cronies, while everybody is like literally just ramped up and ready to go for this match.
It looks like a black tie event too.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting how they combined all that. It's like gala versus blood and gore kind of.
Yeah, and I remember again, and I still make this observation to this day, even you noticed it. They set up this octagonal wrestling ring, which at the time, I hadn't seen anything like it before. Now, in AAA Mexico, they use a 6-sided ring. TNA NWA Wrestling at one point used a 6-sided wrestling ring.
Mm-hmm.
Sturdy. Wrestling rings are pretty fucking sturdy. This was the most god-awfully put together ring I have ever seen in my entire fucking life, because they step and the fucking turnbuckles are just like...
That's what the ref says. Like, the ref is making sure that it's put together and sturdy and everything. He's like, nope, this is a piece of shit.
That ref didn't do a good job at all. He was like, you know what? Fuck it. I can't work with this shit.
He touched like every bottom rope on each corner and was just like, yep, this is shit. This is shit too. All six corners or 8 corners. This is shit.
Crap. Mega crap.
But yeah, so we get the 2 fighters coming in. And Rip, he comes in, everybody's cheering, Rip, Rip. They're like into it. And he walks into the ring, does his little, whatever, But then here comes Zeus. And my God, dude, this is like power 80s fucking costume I've ever fucking seen. The dude's shoulder pads were like longer than his actual body length almost. Like it's amazing like how he held him up, but at the same time, the dude's like arms is so far out, like he can hold himself up regardless.
The way he walks throughout the whole movie, it looks like he's got to take a fucking 12-pound shit, man.
But then he needs someone to wipe because he can't turn that shit around.
No, he fucking can't.
Dookie, wipe.
But he looks imposing as shit. I mean, he's bald except for like the patch of hair shaved into a Z on the side of his head, which is pretty cool. Big silver fucking belt buckle, which I forgot to mention. When Zeus shows up after the first initial like fight, he shows up in his wrestling attire through every fight that he has ever had. Shows up, he probably hasn't even washed it. He's probably just been wearing it the whole fucking time.
He sleeps, he walks, he eats in it, everything.
Right.
You're just thinking, rip.
He's gonna rip one in his pants. The fight starts and Rip looks up at Brell and Brell just kind of gives him that like, you know what you're fucking doing. He beats the shit out of Rip the whole time. And dude, you made me fucking laugh at that scene whenever he falls the fuck over and he looks at his brother Randy and he's like, come on, Rip, try.
You know you're pretty sad when your own crippled brother is telling you to try.
Like he's telling you try and get up.
Yeah. I can't. You have to.
You have to get up because I fucking can't. That man made me fucking sit permanently, well, at least for a while.
Standing up. Oh, wait.
Yeah, he gets this shit beat out of him like so bad. And then at one point, like Sam snuck out, like you said earlier, and the security guards are chasing her, which she shows up at ringside. So Rip is just like, well, fuck, I'm gonna finally, like between her showing up and Randy wiggling his finger, all of a sudden Rip just has mega powers. Yes, for those of you listening, I just made a fucking mega powers tag team reference.
Deal with it.
Yeah. All of a sudden he gets his mega powers activated. Which doesn't make any fucking sense to me. He's like, oh my God, he moved his fucking finger. Dude, you've been watching him like hand grip rails and fucking like walk in rehab. So that doesn't make sense automatically to me.
Maybe that was like, go eat the French restaurant later if you win.
Get some shawarma.
Pinky up. That means it's French time.
When in doubt, pinky out.
Some magic powers behind that pinky, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah. But what's funny is he starts whooping Zeus's ass, but then Zeus like falls out of the ring and then he's going up the stairs like to the skybox area, but he just like fucking Sparta kicks Randy out of his wheelchair.
Well, let's not forget when he ripped the one of the posts out of the freaking ring.
That's right. Yeah, because like
and he goes to drive it down on Rip's face and he turns over and it just like slides in like a fucking spear.
Right through the canvas. The welding job on that turnbuckle post was just so bad. The ring was falling apart anyway. Every time they would land in one of the turnbuckles, it would just sag and sag and sag. And it was so fucking just disappointing. Yeah. I remember being a child. Like, we're full-grown adults looking at the construction of this is bullshit. As a kid, I was like, man, this ring sucks. Like, it's so beautiful to look at, but dude, at the end of the day, it's just a prop.
Yeah. The only pretty thing about the whole thing was the fucking tassels everywhere.
Right. Well, like, Rip chases Zeus upstairs, and eventually he fucking, like, does his finisher, which is just a running axe handle into Zeus, and he knocks him off of this fucking staging into the middle of the ring, and he goes through the canvas in a perfectly circular shaped spot, and it rips all the posts down. Take that, Big Show and Brock Lesnar top rope suplex. So he's down and out, and he's threatening Brell through this fucking thing, because Brell's just ripping the television equipment apart the whole time in anger, and he's like,
that doesn't make any fucking sense. This whole entire part when he was getting his ass, like Zeus's ass is handed to him, fucking Brell was like just ripping screens and like consoles and stuff like that out of the fucking wall. It's like, get him, Zeus, fight him, rip. It's like, do it again, rip. Like,
he's ripping him.
Yeah, and I don't fucking understand. It's like, is that the way? Like, I figured he would like threw something through the window and like threw something at Rip. You know, I would have believed that.
Right,
but he's having a fucking baby temper tantrum.
Stay away, you jock ass. And that's
my dick.
Right. Yeah, that's my Zeus dick. Well, you fucking like yells, stay away, jock ass, and he backs himself up into the equipment that he's been ripping apart and fucking electrocutes himself to death.
It's just so stupid but funny.
Okay, shock ass.
But yeah, it was just funny how Rip throws the chair through the glass and just has that like that whole like Macho Man breathing treatment.
Oh, yeah. There's some YouTube videos where they have like a Hogan one and there's a Savage one where it's literally just the breath they're taking between their words on like a promo segment. That's exactly what Hogan does this entire film.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he's just talking, like he's fucking probably ordering food. Yeah, I want the French dip. and some chips and some corn nuts.
Don't forget the au jus.
Yeah, don't forget the fucking roast beef au jus, brother. Don't forget my McRib.
But yeah, that was pretty much how Braille got his end. He just shocked himself. Ooh.
From jock ass to shock ass, I'm telling you, dude.
My name is Rip and this is shock ass.
Thanks for coming. So after he defeats Zeus, the crowd is cheering, and he goes downstairs and embraces Randy and Sam, and then he looks at the crowd and throws the Rip 'em sign. Oof. The end.
That was no holds barred.
Now let's move on to Suburban Commando,
which takes a very different turn.
So this is the follow-up. Okay, so Hogan was still the WWF champion at this time. Well, I say that. He dropped the belt. Like I mentioned earlier, like, you know, it's like, we need something for you to do. Go do movies. Like he dropped the title to the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania at this time in Toronto. It's long been rumored, and knowing Hulk Hogan, I probably believe this more than anything, that Hogan took this deal with New Line because obviously, like, No Holds Barred didn't do that great, but they thought they could do business with Hogan again and make like a more family-friendly movie. Hogan took the deal in order to have a lot of publicity put on him during Ultimate Warrior's title run, which it probably worked because Warrior's first title run was bullshit. And everybody was still paying attention to Hulkamania because Hulkamania never fucking really died.
Mm-mm.
So this movie is about an intergalactic warrior who has to retreat to Earth for a certain amount of time, while at the same time having to fight an evil warlord with Christopher Lloyd and Shelley Duvall. The movie opens. His name is Shep Ramsey, by the way. The movie fucking opens on this dude named General Suter who has kidnapped the president. We don't know what president. I'm assuming of the United States.
Or the president of the bank.
I think it's the president of the bank.
No brain just couldn't cut it, so sends Shep. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, ironically, a lot of the guns in this movie, like the space guns and all that shit, are just reused props from Masters of the Universe, which we just covered. But you called this, and it's fucking true. Like a lot of this movie in the beginning, especially some of the space stuff, was absolutely inspired by Star Wars.
Yeah, because you get the overhead shot of this triangular shaped ship just flying over this planet, and all these spaceships are flying around. And it's like, oh my God, I feel like I'm watching episode 4 all over again.
Right. I do want to point something else out. I forgot. This movie was actually originally titled Urban Commando, and it was actually written or intended for Danny DeVito as Charlie Wilcox and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Shep Ramsey. They actually left to go do Twins instead, and then the script got bought out by New Line Cinema to give to Hulk Hogan for the follow-up to No Holds Barred. Imagine that fucking casting.
Also, can we point out the foreign film market versus the American market? How their posters are drastically different, and I am just disappointed in my country. Because you get the foreign film market, they have like these badass looking, like space adventure looking posters to promote the movie all over the place. And then you get ours, and it looks like just some generic ass fucking family film looking shit with Hulk Hogan in the middle with his body armor on. And I'm like, really? I can go for like the other versions more than this. Like, I would not be inspired to watch this film looking at ours.
Right.
Just, ugh.
So the president is on this ship with General Suter. And then they're like, oh, security breach. And in comes Shep Ramsey just walking and blasting fuckers away like there's no tomorrow. Just being a goddamn intergalactic hero.
With his power gloves from his Nintendo.
That's right, brother. And there's a lot of puns and one-liners throughout this whole fucking movie, which that's right up our alley. So that's an automatic, like, fuck yeah, this is going to be great. And like, I've seen this movie several times. I've seen both these movies several times. Like, this was actually one of my favorite as a kid. But anyway, like, he's, you know, he'll walk up to these two guys and he's like, going up, and he fucking shoves them through the roof. And then he gets on this elevator. He's like going down, and he cuts the elevator and it fucking drops and shit. Out of fucking nowhere, the president fucking chops off General Suter's hand with a fucking envelope.
Yeah, I was kind of just thrown back to, like, what was it, Superman 2, whenever he throws the cube looking box thing, whatever, the square, and it trapped everybody in it.
Yep.
I never watched the movie, I just know that part. But that's what I was thinking. It's like, man, he just threw like a Superman power. Just pew. But no, it was like a fucking, you know, United States Postal Service shuriken. I'm stupid. Don't listen to me.
United States Postal Shuriken.
Yeah. USPS.
Yeah. Express delivery right to your fucking hands.
But yeah, apparently Suter is some kind of alien race, like not a humanoid, but more of like a like a lizard or actual like creature. And before anything happens, Shep decides to like blow the whole ship up and eject before anything goes wrong. Well, he ends up getting in one of the little escape pods to his ship, gets tractor beamed back to his, and he gets greeted by, I guess this is like contact or his like boss or something.
Yeah, it's his superior basically.
And he's telling him like, normally people when do jobs like this, they don't kill the target that's being, abducted. Like you killed the president. He's like,
Yeah, he was just kind of like, now hold on a minute. And then he gets, cut off and he's like, just saying you might need to take a vacation and get some rest. And he's like, I'm not stressed. And he fucking smashes his control panel. And then like his superior's just, oh boy, look what you did. You damaged your ship.
Now you're going to have to recharge it.
You need to lay low for a while.
But he finds out the next planet that he's closest to is planet Earth. And he's like, Earth? I hate humans.
Yeah, Earthlings. I hate Earthlings. And then it just kicks into the intro. And then that's where we get introduced to Charlie Wilcox and his family, which is he's played by Christopher Lloyd. And his wife is played by Shelley Duvall, and he's got 2 kids. And we get we get the introduction that he's an architect and he's very stressed out about his job, but he's a good-hearted family man. And, his wife is upset because he won't ask for a promotion, but he's like, I'm playing it safe for you and the kids, so we have a fucking home.
Basically, he gets shit on a lot.
Yeah, his boss is a major fucking dick.
Yeah, because he goes in to ask for a raise, and he gets like this, I'm getting pumped up. I'm getting ready to do this.
Larry Miller is his boss.
Yeah. And he walks in there and he tries to ask him, and was it Belts? Yeah, it was Belts.
That's his name.
Belts just literally belts out this big fucking spiel about, you know why I appreciate you because you're this. Like he goes on this big rant about how Charlie's like the most amazing person, but he needs to, stay humble and blah, 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 whatever. He talks them out of the fucking office. Didn't even give the man a chance to say anything. He's like, you struck out, huh? The secretary.
Right, because the Japanese clients that he's been working on a building for come in, and Belts takes like the blueprints and then takes complete fucking credit for all of it.
Charlie's just defeated at this point. They have this recurring scene where he's racing traffic home at like 5 p.m. and his car literally breaks down like halfway to the next red light, because what they're doing is they're trying to speed up to the next red light before it turns red. But he ends up always getting like right halfway through the freeway and just it breaks down because his car is a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, it's kind of has trouble, but like it's kind of showing that he's like a do-gooder because he won't run a red light or he won't run the caution light or some shit, because he stops and he fucking backs up and he's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But yeah, his car is a piece of shit.
But then we get another sequence where these neighbors have these expensive fucking race cars and dragsters and hot rods parked on the street and in front of Charlie's driveway. And instead of him demanding that they move their cars, first of all, the fuckers just laughed his ass off. Just, you're a fucking idiot. And they're like, park on the other side of the road. So Charlie's like, okay, fuck me. Parks on the other side of the street and just walks back home.
Yeah, and then while he's doing it, he's trying to get his shit out of the car. This dude speeds down the fucking road. It's almost like these are all occurring to set up for later shit. Like the the stoplight thing, and then him having to park across the street, and then this asshole that speeds down their street and almost hits him. Well, while all this is happening, Shep lands in this fucking skate rink and then finds out that he's gonna have to charge the ship for like 6 weeks, because if he has any more of a strong charge, it's gonna set off a tracing signal to his enemies. He treks into town in full fucking space gear and does not know how to interact with any of the locals. I mean, he busts up a fucking RC cola machine because it won't give this lady her change back.
Just imagine Terminator, like the very beginning, but very comedic. Because like you just have this very bulk, like strange looking person walking around, and it's trying to like interact with the locals, and it's just so fucking funny how it happens here versus Terminator, where it's just like, you don't want to fuck with this dude.
Right. Yeah, because he finds this dick face he doesn't look like he belongs in this restaurant that he's eating in, and he's got his dog in the fucking heat, rolled up windows and shit, and Shep sees it, and the guy is just bitching at his dog. Well, fucking Shep like just clenches his fist and walks up to the camera, and then the shot pans back, and the dog is eating the food, and then he's got the dude tied up in the car with the face muzzle, and he's taking his clothes.
Mm-hmm.
I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, but you don't have a motorcycle, so I guess I'll keep walking.
I'll put your dog in the restaurant. Because you're a piece of shit.
Needs that big dog chow. Actual dog chow.
But no, he finds a sign on a telephone pole that says apartment for rent that way. Like, we don't know where this apartment's for rent. It's just that way. So he literally just holds it up to the camera and he's walking, like, he's almost like he's strafing that direction. But he ends up going to Charlie's house. Well, come to find out, Jenny rented out the shed that Charlie does his, like, gadgetry and, like, I guess his work, like his actual work, that's not architecture stuff. Like, he builds stuff, he crafts stuff, he repairs stuff and stuff like that. Well, she rented out that shop for rent, like an apartment, because they're low on funds. And that way he doesn't have to ask for a raise from his boss. Well, come to find out, Shep rents the room out and Charlie's just immediately like scared shitless. He's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Like, this guy could like murder us any moment without even thinking about it.
Right. But I mean, Jenny and the kids already kind of take to Shep and, you know, they have him in for dinner and everything. And it's hilarious because in this shot, he's like just eating everything. And he's like, is it okay to have more? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And
yeah, just imagine like 5 people at a dinner table. All the food on the table is just for Shep.
oh, yeah.
Nobody else gets to eat hardly anything. He's just like bowl after plate after plate, just fucking food. And he pointed out while we're watching it, that's pretty much how most of these wrestlers do, is like they just eat nonstop. Some of them eat like random hours of the night in the morning just to work out like a couple hours later, and they just burn so much calories. And it's like, damn, dude, that's a fucking lot of food.
Yeah, like if you think about how Dwayne Johnson trains, you know, like that's pretty much the life of, I mean, even back then, I mean, obviously like health, you know, like looking at your health and everything is a lot more advanced in 2021 than 1992.
Right.
But back then, you know, the guys would drink like vitamin D milk and work off the fucking carbs and shit and the fat that way. They would eat like fuckloads of food and work it off and shit. So this ain't nothing. This is like a fucking second part of a fucking 5-course meal. This whole table. He's going to eat the table too.
It's second breakfast.
It is second breakfast. He's going to eat the table. He's going to eat the fucking chandelier. He's probably going to eat Jenny later. You never know. Well, anyway, they go to bed. Shep kind of doesn't he like, this is where he kind of takes a trip, and then Charlie finds that blaster. He finds this blaster and he fucking fires it off through the goddamn wall, and I think he hits a car.
Hot rods.
He hits one of the fucking hot rods and blows it up, and he's just like, shit. Well, that gun usage set off a power source to be traced back up in space, and another general calls in these bounty hunters, one of which is played by fucking Mark Calloway, better known as The Undertaker, before his WWF debut.
Which is fucking awesome.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious because you just don't expect it. I remember as a kid being like, is that fucking Undertaker?
It's like, it is.
Like, holy shit. Then we get like this giant, not even like a montage, but it's just kind of like scene after scene of Shep interacting with how shit is on Earth. Jenny is screaming in the house and he runs in there and snatches her off the couch because he thinks she's being attacked, but she's just, you know, watching a talk show that's talking about, you know, screaming to let your emotions out and all this other shit. And he's like, oh, okay. Fucking mail guy shows up, starts dropping shit through the mail slot, and he rips the dude's arm through it and holds it at knife point. And she's like, no, it's the mailman. And he walks off. And then he gets hit with a fucking newspaper by this paper boy, and he's going to fucking throw it. And she's like, no, it's just a paper boy. It's okay, let's go back inside. So she goes back in, he puts the knife in his mouth and yeets that fucking newspaper, and you just hear, like he knocks the kid over. Ha, bullseye, smartass.
Mm-hmm.
It is this fucking great. Oh yeah, and then the skateboard. These kids roll up and they fuck with him. You know, they're like, oh, skateboard. And he tries to get on it and he busts his ass and they laugh at him. So he takes this thing and he fucking throws this fucking skateboard into orbit.
Yeah, it's like an Olympic discus, just fucking, and just spins into fucking space. But also, there's a bit of a contradiction going on here. Remember when Charlie shot the hot rod last night?
Yeah, it's perfectly intact the next day.
Like, this thing was on fucking fire. Like, blown to shit. It should have been charred to hell and back. This thing barely had any soot on it or nothing. And the guy that owns the damn hot rod is like, just...
He never makes mention of it.
No, it's like, my car didn't get blown up or nothing. It's like, no, I'm fixing it.
Right.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
Oh, guess I must have missed a spot. Fucking like working on it and shit. And then we get another stoplight gag where he stops again and backs up. And then, again, it's almost like the same thing that happened earlier. So the stoplight gag happens, then he comes home, and then the cars are parked in the driveway. Well, Shep sees this and he literally like lifts one of them up and just shoves it out of the way.
Well, this pisses the neighbor off.
And his two fucking buddies.
And they're like, that's an expensive piece of equipment. If anything happens to it, out. And he's like, what? You're going to pound my face, break every bone in my body, then going to go drag me across the gravel road, feed my remains to a warthog? Is that about right? And Deke goes, what are you, nuts? This is the 90s. We're going to sue you.
I fucking love that so much.
It's like damage of property and emotional distress and all this other shit. I'm like, oh my God.
And it's the best shit ever because like Shep is like, what the fuck is this guy on?
But also at the same time, he's probably like, man, what the fuck happened to Earth?
Yeah, no shit. And then the speeding car comes down and it almost hits one of the kids. It almost hits Charlie's son on a skateboard because Shep like dives and saves him. Then you really fucked up because this dude, Shep, this dude is after this car on fucking foot. And he catches the car. And by the time Charlie catches up with Shep, Shep has flipped this fucking car over. And he's about to beat the shit out of one of the kids in the car. And Charlie's like, no. It's okay. Let's just go home. Let's just fucking go home. But then before they leave, the car is like upturned on its fucking roof. Shep just grabs it and fucking just yanks really hard. And the car just does like a slow spin on its fucking roof. And that is intimidating as fuck.
Yeah, it's a tough bitch right there. So they celebrate the arrival of Shep and how he's, living with them basically. So they give him a chocolate cake, like a whole fucking cake. Shep just looks nice, like, you eat this?
I love that scene. Do you eat this?
Yeah, and he starts like literally just like munching on it hard. While Jenny's like, oh, get the camera. This is awesome. And I'm like, they're taking a family photo with Shep eating cake.
It's funny because it would be heartwarming.
Right. But they take it and they say cheese, and you literally see Shep's face just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, he's got that, huh? It's literally the physical embodiment of, huh?
Yeah. It's like when we wake up to go to work, it's like, huh?
That is my face when I wake up for work every morning. God damn, that's pretty accurate.
Like the cake is sleep.
The cake is sleep. No, it's chocolate cake. So it's like the shit I'm about to eat at work today. Motherfucker.
Yeah.
This is where Shep goes out at night because Charlie decides to tail him because he's like, where is he going this late at night?
But let's not forget the interaction with the mime. As he was doing the box scene, he was trying to like get out of the box. He's like, are you trapped? And he's like, oh, it must be one of those force fields. I'll get you out. So he punches the fucking mime in the face
real hard.
And he's like, you're welcome.
And then he's just like he's just on the ground. Like, what did I do? What the fuck did I do?
But see, this is the one where he's climbing a rope and he's like, you trying to get up there? He's like, okay, I'll help you real quick. And he's like, no, it's just a get. He just tosses his ass up on the next floor on the building next to him. He's like, you're welcome again.
Should stick to juggling. He falls the fuck off. But yeah, he finally makes it to his spaceship, right? Oh, wait, I forgot about the arcade. He goes to the arcade because he hears like some kind of like intergalactic space war happening. And it's just this video game. And he winds up and he's just like, give it up, Drago. And he just basically beats the game into submission. And the fucking game even like says that he won. And it pops out like a fucking, I surrender flag.
I love that scene so much because it's like that close-up shot of the son and Hulk Hogan or Shep. And they're playing this game like hardcore, like, oh, use your phase on lasers. Like, I can't, they're not charged. Well, use your proton torpedoes. I don't have those. He's like, well, do something. Like, they're getting so into it that Hulk's like, or Shep's like, get out of the way, I got this. And he's literally like beating his game. And like he said, just surrender. I'm done.
Or yeah, Shep thinks it's fucking real and it's funny as shit. But then he finally follows Shep. Charlie follows Shep to the spaceship. Well, then Shep leaves. And then Charlie just kind of snoops around and finds his fucking spacesuit. And then he puts it on because he finds these x-ray goggles and he sees this woman about to get mugged. And so he puts the suit on and goes to make a rescue or whatever. And I think it's funny because like he's become Robo-Doc at this fucking point.
Great Scott.
You're fucked. Like he just walks up and they wind up shooting him.
Yeah, they shot him in the chest and it kind of bounces him backwards. And then he pushes a button to where his like whole body like tenses up with the it's basically like a muscle enhancing kind of technology with the armor. So he starts doing like all these dance moves and shit like that, and he's going up and down, up and down. He launches his ass into the air and jumps on both the muggers, and he drops the gun that he picks up from Shep's ship. and he saves the woman and, goes about his business, goes back to the ship, puts the armor back up. And I'm trying to remember what happened at this point because I know.
Well, what happens is like the gun is set off another thing to the space station. Well, the bounty hunters are en route. And this scene is funny because they're scouting to see where it's coming from, and then they see the fucking skateboard flying into orbit, and they're just, what the fuck? So they basically trace it to Earth. And that's when the next morning Shep is like waking up from his sleep and tells the neighborhood to shut the fuck up, basically.
Yeah, it was like watching Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, well, and then shut up, and then the cat in the tree.
Yeah. Oh my god. Is that your cat? It's like, okay, he grabs the fucking branch, like it's like a little Siamese or Himalayan. Yeah. He pulls the cat down. The girl's like, "That's not my cat." And he's like, "Oh,
oh." Pew! Yeah, and this cat just flies like just into the distance, and he just walks off
like nothing happened.
Right. Well, then he finds the mime again, and the mime just like, fuck this, and just runs away. He's like, "You're crazy, man. You're crazy."
It's just a bit.
Well, that's when he goes back to his ship, and he sees that his suit's fucking gone. So he goes up to Charlie's job, and he's like asking the secretary, "Where's Charlie?" And she's getting in his face. And she's like, "You can take a seat. He'll be right." And he smashes her fucking phone. And she's like, "I said take a seat." And then he walks off. She's like, "God." And then he comes back holding the entire bench. And she's like, "Oh, that's real funny."
Mm-hmm. But you kind of get the sexual tension going on like right here. Because she was just like breathing hard.
Hot and fucking bothered, dude.
Yeah, hot and ready like a fucking pepperoni pizza.
That's it. Well, basically what happens is Charlie's boss is going to make him go back to the drawing board for blueprints that could be done for the company party that night because he's wanting to finalize this deal with the Japanese clients. Well, then Shep winds up confronting Charlie about the spaceship, and then he tells him, "They're bounty hunters on the way because you set my equipment off." So they go back to the scene, and then they figure out the gun is gone. So they go to his ship, and they take this homing device out, which is the exact same one that they used in Ghostbusters, like the exact fucking prop. And then they trace it to a bank where everybody is frozen. Because it's a fucking freeze gun. And it's really hilarious because as they walk in, just the subtle sounds of Jingle Bells plays. Well, come to find out it's the two thieves that Charlie tried to stop the night before.
Yeah, because they wrestled the guys for the gun and they finally get it, but Charlie gets frozen midway and Shep doesn't realize what's going on because from the back of the vault, the two bounty hunters blast through and starts shooting the whole fucking place up.
Right.
Well, Shep closes the vault on the bounty hunters and he grabs Charlie and the gun and takes off.
Forgot about the fucking bit where they try to freeze him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They try to freeze him. They try to freeze Shep.
And you just see like a fucking white fog and you just see him break out like, antifreeze.
Yeah, he fucking guzzles this giant vial of antifreeze and beats the shit out of those guys.
Like, it's just a perfect timing to have antifreeze on you.
It's like, does he just carry this shit around for this purpose?
It's like, you never know.
Fuck it, I might have it with a dinner one night or something. Have it with my ice cream.
I was about to say.
Have it with my ice cream so I don't have fucking brain freeze.
My gelato. Too much ice in my drink.
Gelato mania's running wild, brother.
Too much ice in my drink. Not anymore. I don't get the brain freeze.
But yeah, like you said, he carries him out of the fucking bank. And it's the funniest scene because before they even left to go anywhere for all this shit, Hogan just rips the door off of Charlie's car. So his car doesn't have a door anymore, but he's got a moonroof or a sunroof. One of the funniest scenes in this movie is Hogan driving this car with Charlie's frozen body sticking out the top, just pointing like straight ahead. And he's just leaning back and forth, just catching the wind as they drive away.
It's like one of those wacky inflatable arm tube guys, except he's not wacky and inflatable.
He's just wacky and frozen.
Yeah.
But they decide, okay, they go back to his ship where he thaws out. And Shep is just like, okay, well, I need Simeon Crystal so I can power this ship up quicker and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, because what happened is Charlie convinces him, like, while you're here, like, my family's not safe. No one is safe. So Shep realizes, okay, well, I got to go, but I need your help one more time. And they end up going back to the ship and they can't power it fast enough because, they don't have an adequate source. So he tells them about the crystals and Charlie's like, I know where there's that much crystal lying around. Rewind back a good bit, about 30 minutes. Belts has all these trophies in his office that are these like awards for something. I don't remember what it was.
was like excellence in architecture and all this bullshit.
Some stupid shit. But they're the exact same material, ironically, that Shep needs for his ship.
Yeah, they're made out of pure simian crystal. Like, go fucking figure. The thing he needs is right there.
So they end up going to the fucking party. And I found it funny because they pull up in the valet and they just give the keys to the valet. And it's like this fucking piece of shit car with no door. But yeah, they end up getting the X-ray goggles and looking around, which I fucking can't stand, like bad editing and like stuff that makes sense, especially in this part. So how is it that you look up at a building with X-ray goggles or binoculars or whatever like that, and then all of a sudden it sets to a setting where it shows you that exact floor in that exact moment, what's going on that floor? It's like, how does that fucking work?
Right, because they do go up eventually to the office, and they're not in the office that he keeps them in. Belts has fucking pulled these off to some room that's not even been completed yet, just sitting there. He's just showing them off to the Japanese clients. It's another running gag that Belts just has no fucking clue what he's doing.
And he's racist.
Yes, he is.
He has no like sense of what he's saying. He just says it.
Yeah, he straight up offers them like a drink. He's like, can I get you any champagne? A kamikaze, perhaps? And I'm like, you fucking piece of shit, dude.
Didn't he start going off on tangents about World War II or some shit like that? Or Godzilla was another one.
Right.
But yeah, Belts had originally asked Charlie to draw out all these blueprints for this building within 12 hours. And Charlie's just like, what the fuck? You can't possibly expect me to do this. Well, he finally meets Charlie. Well, Belts, they run into each other. And he's like, where's the fucking blueprints? And it's like, well.
Yeah, about that. We forgot a couple of funny things that happened before this party, though, right? So the bounty hunters arrived to Earth, and they've hijacked a fucking Cadillac convertible with a just married thing on the thing.
Oh my God, I forgot, yes.
And they roll up through this fucking burger joint. I think it's called Surfing Burger. And the dude that is taking the word, he's like, he's kind of got, that obvious, like, whoa, dude. Oh, whoa, you guys are just married. How cool is that?
Y'all look so cute.
Y'all look so cute. Would you like to try the honeymoon burger? And they just look at each other like, what the fuck? And they blow the goddamn drive-through menu up. And it's the most glorious shit ever. Like, The Undertaker has had enough of your shit.
I have that same reaction to a lot of people when they talk.
And I totally forgot, because when they did show up at the party, like when Charlie and Shep show up at the party, it's Hulk Hogan in a fucking tuxedo again.
Yep.
Looking like a sharp dressed tan.
That's great.
It's true though. Yeah, because he flirts with his secretary again.
Yeah, and he kind of cuts it off. It's like, what are you doing? It's just like, I'm reconnaissance or whatever the fuck he says.
Right. But anyway, to cut back to Belts being upstairs with the Japanese clients again, Shep and Charlie roll in there, like you said, and he's like, oh, where's the blueprints and all this other bullshit? Well, he's basically distracting them so they can steal the crystals. Well, the secretary rolls up and she's like, I don't think so, boys. And she's got them at gunpoint because they're putting these crystals in a trash bag.
Fucking Revolver, man. She's like Dirty Harry at this point.
Dirty Harriet.
Yeah.
Like straight up.
But then lo and behold, behind the other side of the wall is the fucking bounty hunters, and they blow a shithole in the damn wall.
Yeah, they do. Well, yeah, they blow a shithole in the wall. And at some point in this ensuing battle, they have this moment of like test of strength where they're bending this rebar.
Yeah.
And they bend it back and they throw it to Shep. And then Shep makes this perfect outline of a bunny rabbit with this rebar. And it's fucking hilarious. Because then he just commences to stomping the shit out of both of these guys. I mean, the one guy doesn't matter. I mean, he gets crushed with a fucking elevator. But dude, he fucking like paper clips Undertaker's rocket boots and just shoots him up through multiple floors.
Those boots give me like an instant flashback to the Mario Brothers movie.
They look almost identical. It makes me wonder if they got repurposed for that.
Yeah. Because, it seems like New Line Cinema just rehashes a lot of props.
But yeah, he flies up through these floors and he winds up going through the women's restroom. And he blows up the toilet. Like literally, he doesn't shit, but he blows the fucking toilet up and comes out with it on his head.
Not relating this to his career or anything, so forgive me if I say it like this, but the fact that the Hulk just literally launches his ass out of the fucking room. He's like, there goes, he's going to his career into WWF now.
I mean, pretty much. It's like, I can see just Vince McMahon right now. This is genius. It's like a metaphor. In 30 years, this will be my greatest creation, and we're going to strap a rocket to him and launch him to the moon.
He looks like he's going to be a star.
Undertaker, and just flies up. Talk about a shitty situation. But the best part of this whole fight is when the Undertaker shows back up and Shep is on the ground because he comes out with the fucking toilet and he throws it off.
You're a dead man, Ramsey.
No wonder you guys never talk.
Like, no shit.
It's a kid voice, and it's funny as shit. And then, like, he dispatches of him, basically. He puts, like, they fight onto this table, and he clicks his rocket boots, and they're flying. Well, Hogan grabs this pole, and they're spinning in circles real fast. Well, he falls off, and the Undertaker, like, stays on this cart or whatever, and he flies into this wall. And it's very, like, Wile E. Coyote, because he flies into the wall, like, you know, arms and legs spread out. And then the shot is him staying there for a minute, and then he falls on his face. And then that's the last we see of them.
Then we get the plot twist. Shep being, you know, hurt and everything because I think he got shot, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One of the pistols.
Yeah, he got his arm fucked up pretty bad.
They end up going back to the ship eventually, but at the home, Jenny's locking everything up, going to bed and everything like that, and there's an intruder in the house. We don't know who it is.
Yeah.
You can automatically go sit there and assume it's like, it must be like one of the bounty hunters. Just hypothetically, we don't fucking know.
Right, because at this point, Shep had sent Charlie back to his house.
Right, because he wanted to get everything that he owns out of the house so that way nobody can go back to Earth to fuck around with Earth, basically. Shep goes back to the ship. Charlie ends up going home and interacts with this character, and it actually happens to be Suitor.
Yeah, he's just taking the form in another skid suit.
So he survives the fucking explosion in space. He ends up kidnapping all the family and brings them to the fucking ship and makes Shep surrender, basically. Because he's like, look, if you don't fucking do what I say, I'm going to kill all these people. They don't mean anything to me, but you matter. So I want you to surrender.
That's whenever Shep decides, all right, fuck it. He sets the ship's self-destruct sequence up. Well, after that fucking happens, Charlie decides to help out because he's like, I can't leave this man. He's helped us so much. So what does Charlie do? Charlie takes the fucking muscle enhancement glove, busts into that motherfucker, and he grabs Suitor by the balls.
He busts a nut.
He does bust a nut. It's like no holds balls. Like he fucking just grabs him and just crushes his sack.
That makes anybody fucking twitch. I'm sorry.
But the look on Christopher Lloyd's face is priceless here. He's just like, I got you now, bitch. And then, unfortunately, like, Shep was like, no, don't. Well, because apparently anytime he gets hurt, IRL, the dude just comes out of his fucking skin sack. Well, we see the entire alien body protrude out of this fucking thing. For the movie that we're watching, for the budget that it had, this was a fucking impressive piece of, like, makeup effects. It looked like a more, like, scary creature from the Black Lagoon.
I combined it with Predator and Swamp Thing.
That's a very accurate description, honestly. And I mean, it's terrifying too. Like, it's this moment, like, as a child watching this, I didn't get nightmares from it, but I was like, what the fuck? Like, it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I wasn't expecting it.
All right.
Well, they fucking beat the shit out of each other. And Shep winds up tearing these, like, this electrical wire apart and electrocute. Second person in both these movies that dies by electrocution, by the way.
Shocking.
Yeah. But what we were laughing at is whenever he electrocutes him, it cues up the disco music because this is like a skate rink, you know, so they had dance music playing. So it's like some fucking disco music playing. And we're like, all right.
Disco doesn't die, but he does.
That's right. You live by the disco, you die by the disco.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole place winds up blowing up as Shep escapes with Charlie and his family. Actually, no, his family had run off to go get the cops. And they show up, you know, I guess everything's okay. The best part about this whole thing is probably the aftermath. Charlie shows back up to his job in the morning where his boss, Belts, is still sitting with the clients. And in no uncertain terms, just tells him to go fuck himself. He quits.
Yeah, the fact that he took, it's like 8 hours, 9 hours with the clients and just talks to them all that time. I'm like, really, dude? How do y'all do that?
What I laughed at, though, is the translation when they start talking. He's like, man, boy, when he like, what does he say? Oh, he not only does he shovel it, he uses both hands.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much Belts right there.
Fucking shit shoveler.
But yeah, then we get the whole, I think it's a sequence with Charlie driving down the freeway and he makes it towards the end of the light and he gets the fucking pistol and shoots the fucking light out. And then everybody's, I mean, it's kind of like a weird, like, I'm free kind of feeling, like break your shackles kind of thing.
Yeah, like he stood up for himself and he grew a spine and he found himself finally.
Right.
Because like within all that, Shep finds the kid that he threw his skateboard, and it turns out that Shep is actually a very damn good skateboarder. And he gives the kid his board, and then like another cat in the tree gag.
But this time it was the right cat, because he's like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, so he pulls the cat down, right? Then the girl accidentally hangs onto the tree branch, and she gets fucking launched.
Which he ends up saving, so no children were harmed.
Right, and he's like, "Get a goldfish." But then, like, the final shot, the final shot is Charlie driving off in traffic, but before that happens, Shep winds up taking the bounty hunter ship, and he says goodbye to Charlie, which is it's a running thing throughout the movie where Shep is like, "I don't do goodbyes." So he tells the family goodbye, shakes Charlie's hand, and Charlie's like, "Hey, Shep, see you around?" "Yeah, see you around, Charlie." It turns out the secretary's going on a little space adventure with Mr. Ramsey there.
He's always scorned the girl, man.
Yeah, because in space, nobody's going to hear her scream. But yeah, like you said, Charlie blows the stoplight up, and that's the end of the movie.
Suburban Commando.
Yeah, Suburban Commando. Goddamn. What a fun fucking movie. Like, you know, both of these movies are fun in their own right. If I had to pick a winner, I would pick Suburban Commando, honestly.
I was going to do the same. Like, nothing against Holden Holds Barred at all. It was a good film overall. I was just, it felt like more of like a drama, I guess, in a way. It had this like quirky, like corny shit and everything like that, but it just felt more grounded. And it was just so weird grounding the Hulkster for me. Overall, though, like I said, good film. Nothing real terrible about it. But Suburban Commando just like completely went off the deep end.
Right. Because you get Hogan, and it's the whole fish out of water concept. And it really works because, you know, as cheesy as Hogan is and can be, and as cheesy as the role is, I really think that he did a good job. And the script, like as corny as it was funny. It's actually a pretty good family movie. Like, you watch this with your kids and crack the fuck up and shit. But I mean, you know, coming back to this movie, I mean, God, what did it come out? 1991. I mean, shit, coming back to this movie like 30 years later, it still holds up to me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually happy this didn't get to Schwarzenegger and DeVito.
Yeah, because then we wouldn't really get the charm that the Hulkster would have brought, honestly.
Yeah, seriously. Like, that's another thing, is that he was good in the role.
But not only that, I think Christopher Lloyd like found his way with, you know, being like a tinkerer and inventor at this point, which I don't know. When did the first Back to the Future come out?
1985.
Okay. So it's kind of weird how Back to the Future, he was an inventor and everything. In this film, he was pretty much an inventor of the same sort. It's just not as like sci-fi as this. So it's just weird. Like, he found his calling as like an inventor in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Right. Yeah, because this was right after Back to the Future 3 and like right around the same time that he portrays Uncle Fester in Addams Family.
Mm-hmm. Where they tinker with his brain.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Suburban Commando is absolutely the movie this week. It was a lot of fun. I remember telling you, it's like, I think I already know which one you're going to like the most out of the two of these, even though they're both fun in their own right. This one was just fucking a blast.
Like I said, No Holds Barred had some really fucking good scenes, like funny scenes, but Suburban Commando just by a good while.
Oh, yeah. Check out past, present, and future episodes on supermediabrospodcast.com. Listen to all the other shows on the OddPods Media Network. Buy some merch from us. Follow us on social media. Subscribe to us on YouTube. You know the drill. It's in the show notes below. Clickable. It's all there.
Rate and comment our stuff and be like, it's Dookie. And be like, Dookie?
Dookie. Oh.
Who said that?
I remember you mentioning like they should replace the MGM line with
yeah, with that shit grin, like it's like I smelled Dookie in it.
The mega bowels collide.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the fuck we're doing next week. Whatever it is, be sure to tune in. I mean, you know, or whatever.
We'll just throw that at y'all. Be like, it's random.
It's gonna be random. Don't know.
It's a mist. It's a fog. It's just cloudy. We don't know. You don't know.
It's random.
Fate doesn't even know. They're just scratching their head like, we don't know either.
You're probably thinking to yourself, I feel clueless. Just like when The Undertaker saw a fucking skateboard flying through space. Confusion.
Just roll on by.
You want to get out of here, dude?
Yeah.
All right.
Power that ship.
Power that ship and let's fly the fuck out of here to outer space.
Or better yet, let Shep throw us out.
I would love... Yes, let's do that. Let's let Shep just yeet us into fucking outer space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeet! And there we go. Bye! That was episode 162, Cult Cinema Showdown 68, No Holds Barred versus Suburban Commando. Until next week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm Hulkamania.
Shades on.
Dookie.